Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And this movie came out in 2004, and it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, and I really enjoyed his movies. I really loved And Your Mother too. I enjoyed this movie as well, and Gravity I kind of liked, even though it's not great. Roma's pretty fantastic, and Children of Men is my favorite movie that he's directed, and this one I thought was easily the best Harry Potter movie that I've seen up until now, in terms of what the ones I've reviewed so far as of recording this, because obviously I have seen all of these movies before, but it is kind of like watching these movies for the first time, in a sense, because I haven't seen them in so long, in like 15 years, up to 20. What this movie does well is that it's very well shot and has lots of things going for it that add to the experience. And on a technical level, I think it's much better than the first two. The visual effects hold up pretty well. Buckbeak, I really like that character, and it's pretty cool to watch him on screen. And the visual effects for him, I thought held up pretty well. I'm not taken out of it a whole lot. And for 2004, I think the effects look pretty great. And this movie never once over-relies on CGI or effects at any point, and it has a good understanding of when not to have visual effects, or just things happening in a green screen warehouse or whatnot. I never got that feeling. This movie just does everything pretty well for what it's going for. And there's plenty of memorable scenes in this movie, and that's such an advantage this movie has over, I think, the first movie. Whereas, sure, there are good scenes in it, but the whole package, I think, just works better in this movie, and I was more with it. And out of the three that I've reviewed so far, this one's the shortest. It's just under 2.5 hours, and it flies by for me. I was never bored with any of it, and I enjoyed all the world building that this movie introduced and gave it that we already had, and it just builds and builds, and it never falls apart in this film in particular. Like, they add some things, but they never add too much, I feel. And the music in this movie is composed by John Williams again, and I do love the score for this movie. I think it adds a lot, and it's very memorable at times. And it's never just the Harry Potter theme, the one that we all know, and instead it goes for different themes. And I really love the music in the Quidditch scene, and although it's not a very long and stretched out scene, I do think it's a very memorable and fun scene to watch. The bus scene in this movie was awesome. I love that scene a lot, and that was one of the scenes that I watched the most when I was younger, because I just really loved it and thought it was so much fun. And there's lots of really fun characters in this movie that I just love and couldn't get enough screen time with. And every character serves a purpose. There's never a character that drags the movie down in terms of its pacing, aside from Harry Potter's uncle, his aunt, and his cousin. I was so happy that they're in the movie for no longer than 5 minutes. I thought that was such a great choice. And I do want to mention the Dementors in this movie, and one thing that made this movie pretty famous is that it was kind of darker and a bit more scary for kids, and this movie is still rated PG, like the first two movies, I believe. I'm not sure if I would say this movie is too dark or scary that kids can't handle it, but I will say I can definitely see how it got that reputation, and I like how the Dementors look and how they're treated. They're not overshown in this movie, and they're well established, and I love the look of them. But in terms of on-screen presence, I didn't really feel scared by them, unfortunately, because I kept thinking of Lord of the Rings, and I was thinking of the Nazgul in those movies, and how much more they worked in those movies. They were genuinely terrifying in those movies, whereas the Dementors, yeah, they're kind of creepy, and I don't want to be around them, but I didn't feel as though they had the same screen presence as the Nazgul. And that was a little bit of a letdown for me, but it's not a huge deal because they're not in the movie too much. And there are points where the acting is a little weak. It's just when the younger actors are required to yell and they're just not quite hitting it for me. But for the most part, I thought the performances from the child actors was mostly fine. They're not really children, they're more teenagers. I guess that's more of a accurate description for them. And you can tell that they're better, and the acting does get better as these movies go on, as of like from the first movie to this movie now. And the adult actors, they're fantastic. I don't have any complaints with them. And Gary Oldman, I thought he did a great job in this movie. I really enjoyed his performance. And also Michael Gambon, I thought he was excellent as Dumbledore. And he was a great replacement to play that character. And I have no issues with him there. And never once while watching him was I thinking of Richard Harris and how he played Dumbledore. I just felt like, okay, it's a different movie and the way things are presented is different. It's not as light, it's a bit darker. And I do feel as though that's kind of fitting for this movie in a sense, with the character being a little bit different. But one issue that I did have with this movie is that I do feel as though there were points where it could have used a little more subtlety and things weren't spelled out for you as much. Like, I felt as though that could have benefited the movie a little bit. And there was a really dumb and annoying jump scare in the middle of the movie that kind of bugged me, that just honestly did not need to be there at all. And what really surprised me about this movie is how long the third act was in this movie, because I checked to see at what point we were in at the movie. I just paused it to see how far into it I was, and I had like an hour left, and that last hour of the movie is what I remember most about it. And I do feel as though that last hour is pretty great, except for the final shot, which I don't really care for because I do think it's kind of cheesy. But most of the movie I do love, and there's some things that weren't quite perfect that I wished were a bit better, but definitely an improvement over the first two. Loved what it had to offer, and I'll definitely be watching this one again. Genuinely love it, and if you haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. It's my favorite so far, and we'll see if it stays that way when I revisit the rest of the Harry Potters. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.